Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, this is Renegade Operative here, and welcome to my review of the entire Microsoft conference for E3 2016 and the presentation itself. This presentation did suffer from what I like to call fluff because there were a lot of key points where there were good announcements happening, but they didn't feel substantial enough. Lots of talking about unannounced features, shoehorning in CGI trailers and not showing any gameplay. And the biggest offense in my opinion was the reveal of the Project Scorpio. Next to nothing was displayed about it visually. No prototype to get people hyped, no nothing. However, Microsoft was not a slouch towards pulling out some guns. The Gears of War 4 presentation along with the cringeworthy dialogue amounted to some of the same stuff we saw before in the series. Giant armored up meatheads going around in impossibly windy environments to combat the locust strain. I do have a heart for Gears of War, but I progressively got older and fell off that Cliffy B hype train eventually. A good ear during the event would notice that Microsoft did clarify that the upcoming title would be on Windows 10 as well. There's a lot of Windows 10 integration, so it has me cautiously excited for some reason. I do want to get back into the series, but Windows 10 operated games outside of Killer Instinct have been disappointments. We'll see what happens. It's also good to see Horde mode back in action. Also, if I didn't mention this before, General Ram from Gears of War is in Killer Instinct. So I guess all the leaks are true, and I saw them coming from a mile away. Sea of Thieves is a pirate style game from last year that I talked about, which is exclusive to the Xbox One, and I guess Microsoft finally decided to let Rare out of their cellar to work on some games without restriction. This didn't look any more refined from the presentation that happened last year. It's still your average ship-trotting adventure where you can blow your friends sky high with cannons on the high seas, but they put more fucking annoying commentators over the footage. I understand first-hand experiences are everlasting and reaction videos are all the rave these days, but it's highly annoying at E3. Simmer that down and focus on the core element, the gameplay. That's all I need. Dead Rising 4 was presented by the most drunken cameraman to date who couldn't focus on the footage worth a shit, even if you paid him. And there's not much here to gauge. It was just a short real-life teaser, straight to the point, signifying that Frank West is back in action and ready to slay the crowd. The graphics and new assortment of Christmas-themed weapons like the candy cane launchers and the Thor-style electric axes look beautiful to see. It's a crying shame that you had to go to pre-shows and other areas to see the game in action and not at the Xbox conference. Gwent, the Witcher card game. Here's 2 Gwents I don't give. Final Fantasy 15 is here, but it just played more horribly, and it showcased a new epic boss fight almost akin to the larger-than-life creatures from Shadow of the Colossus. I think that Final Fantasy is a mixed bag on some performance issues. Maybe it's just more evident on the Xbox One, but there were a lot of drop frames here for what's supposed to be a memorable set piece. I remember the Platinum demo was still decent when I played it, and some of the same hook to key points, dodging, and attack mechanics still apply, just with a party this time around. So here are some additional bullet points of games that either didn't appeal to my interest or stuff that fell under the radar when it came to announcements. So this news goes as followed. Forza Motorsport 3 showed off a CGI trailer. Halo Wars 2 comes out February 2017. Minecraft will have a mobile to PC crossplay from Xbox Live. The Division will have exclusive DLC, which is first on Xbox One. State of Decay 2 was announced, but sadly not too much was shown of it. Playdead also announced its next major title called Inside. I couldn't gather much from the trailer, but from the way it looked, the graphics look nice, and you managed to snag a copy of Limbo for free, which is a serviceable treat. So Harada Swagness came on stage with a kimono, and he talked about Tekken 7 a little bit, but they didn't show that much from the trailer. All we know is that it's coming out in early 2017, and the fact that there are QTEs in the story mode now. We Happy Few was a very interesting indie. Apparently, if the population does not take a certain amount of pills to stay happy, if you're depressed, then you're subject for execution. It's really interesting, and I can't wait until they show more of this game. It was probably one of the most interesting indie games of the event, which I give kudos for. Let's get back to presentations because I think this part will be a little bit brief when it comes to Recore. We did talk about it last year, but this time around they showed a little bit more gameplay footage. I still can't put my finger on it. There still seems to be something wrong with Recore, something missing out of the equation. Maybe it's the fun factor. Maybe I'm cautiously optimistic because this game is being done by Kenji Inafune. Maybe it's the fact that it could suffer from a lack of variety. There was nothing really dynamic to keep the game fresh, and it looks like your typical third-person Mega Man Legends type of inspired game. But I don't want to sound too judgmental. The game is not out yet, but it still looks awesome with the art style as it did last year. Scalebound was shown off once again, and thank the Lord the frame rate from last time was incredibly improved for this presentation. It's coming on Windows 10 as well, so I'm hoping it's a solid 60 FPS. However, my thoughts on the gameplay as well, it's a mixed bag. It's certainly not a DMC. It's certainly not as fast and furious as I like it to be, cutting down larger than life enemies to bits with this Resident Nero wannabe. The dragon mechanic specifically looks like your average do more damage placeholder. Co-op could be nice, so here's the wishful thinking, I guess. The last thing we have to talk about is the hardware segment, which throws the Xbox One S as a slim Xbox One coming out August for $300. The even bigger news is the fact that the Xbox Scorpio rumors finally came into light. Project Scorpio will indeed be the evolution of the Xbox One with 4K enabled gaming, 6 teraflops, and 8 cores of sheer raw power. There were small glimpses of the prototype, but I feel it wasn't enough for me. I wish I could have saw the console at its base, but I'm glad they showed us ahead of time of the PlayStation Neo because it's something that Microsoft had the advantage over. They showed us something instead of dicking around to what we already knew with the rumors. Overall, this was a decent presentation, just hampered by some overdrawn talking and lack of solid gameplay in some areas. I give Microsoft's conference an overall letter grade of a C+.